What's going on, everybody? Decided to just go ahead and do a live about this Roger Jackson attack on pro wrestler Syko Stu that occurred a couple days ago. It was the talk of the town in terms of the wrestling world, obviously, and just in general. In on social media, it became this very viral attack, this assault. And I wanted to talk about it. I did a live with Mario. Unfortunately, that video got flagged for copyright, so I had to take it down. Um, so I'm not going to show the clips. I'm done showing clips, man. I'm done. Like this YouTube doesn't cooperate. It's whatever, man. It doesn't even matter if we have you know like we're providing commentary for it. It's nuts. So I just decided, let me just talk about it here. I am going to, however, share this clip of Mark Henry. This is from TMZ, Fair Use, oh 09. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, you know what I mean? But very surprising take by Mark Henry. So let's hear it out.
I didn't like the ribbing. I didn't like the joking. And anybody that talked to me that I didn't think was worthy of having that kind of aggressive conversation, they got that word. And, I don't know the full story, but I do know what I saw. And it looked like he wasn't smart to what was going on. And the dude that was messing with him bit off more than he can chew. And, you got to be careful, one, who you mess with, and two, what kind of example are you as a veteran for inciting a ride with a kid? And I mean, he's not 12 or nothing, but he's still significantly younger. And,
So, Mark Henry, who is a, WWE, former WWE wrestler, the world's strongest man. When I watched that whole, you guys will go look it up, TMZ, Mark Henry, watch the whole thing. But when I watched that interview, right? And excuse me while I take a little sip of my mineral water with some lime. See, Mark, when I hear that interview, I'm listening to a guy that dealt with a lot of shit in his day. And he says it, right? I saw an interview of his with The Undertaker a couple of weeks back, and he said something like, I wanted to kill Shawn Michaels after Shawn Michaels did he thought Shawn Michaels did some prank on him. How he wanted to fuck up the clique, and I wanted to, mess these dudes up. And during the TMZ interview, he's mentioning those days are over, the hazing, and those guys that want to do this stuff, you can't do that no more, man, because there's MMA fighters now, and there's like collegiate wrestlers and athletes, and can't be doing that crap. And I could sense a guy that wasn't happy. Like Mark Henry is a dude that when he saw Roger Jackson beat up Syko Stu, for some reason, I feel like Mark Henry saw himself in Roger Jackson, and can empathize with whatever frustration he felt, even though he said he didn't know the full story, right? But he felt like, yeah, man, they used to fuck with me, and I wanted to fuck them up too, and like these fucking wrestlers, man, they're assholes, and look how they treated me, all the hazing and this and that, and man, they got to put an end to all that shit. And I'm glad those days are over, and this guy learned his lesson. And look at I just don't Mark Henry has some other shit going on, bro. Obviously, however he was treated and hazed back in the day in the Attitude Era somehow really has gotten to him. I think Mark Henry was venting out a lot of frustration because he probably wanted to beat up some dudes, but he really couldn't because he didn't want to get fired or something. Right? I sense a lot of frustration in Mark Henry. I sense a lot of you know, vitriol. Mark Henry is somehow seeing himself in Roger Jackson. He's empathizing. He's basically saying, I don't condone what he did, but I understand why he did it. Those wrestlers were being unprofessional. These wrestlers have been assholes for years, and those days are over, right? And you could just tell this is somebody who's been like, you could tell there's an aspect of the wrestling culture. I'm not talking about the storyline that we watch on TV and all. I'm talking about the wrestling locker room, backstage, outside of kayfabe, the real culture behind the scenes. You could just tell that Mark Henry has a lot of build up animosity towards that. You could just tell. You could tell he's angry with the business. You could tell he's holding a lot of contempt. And maybe he thought he let a lot of that go, but as soon as he saw what he saw, when he saw the wrestler like messing with him and what appeared to be like in kayfabe, like kind of in the work, and that's how the guy, hey, the guy's not a worker. You could just tell like the things Mark Henry is saying reveal his feelings. Oh, he bit off more than he could chew. So that's what he gets, right? And he's probably thinking of the days of the guys that he felt he could fuck up, but he just, you know what I mean? But because of the culture, and because of the way things worked, he just couldn't, right? And then he throws more in there, Mark Henry. He says, and I'll give my thoughts on the guys, but I just want to finish off with Mark Henry here. It says, and it's over it's the Syko Stu. I mean, now everybody knows you can't fight. So you've been exposed. And back in the old days, they wouldn't let you go if that happened, right? You lose your job if you got beat up in a fight. And in the old days, like in the 70s or some shit, right? So Mark Henry's all over the place. One, all times are different. These people are professional. Look at the behind the scenes. Look at WWE, how they work. You know what I mean? These guys are professionals now. There's no more hazing, none of that bullshit that they used to do back in the day. But then he wants to bring up back in the day again and say, hey, if you get beat up in a fight, hey, it's over for you. You're fired. That's the way shit worked in the old days. You bit off more than you could chew. That's what you get, right? You remind me of all those, like the Click and the Shawn Michaelses of the world and all these assholes that used to fuck with me that I knew I could fuck up, right? But I couldn't, so I would get fired or arrested for assault. But Roger Jackson, I saw myself in him. I don't condone what he did. Somebody should smarten him up to the business, but like they smartened me up to the business, he said. You see, they smartened me up to the business. And that's why I didn't do it. Somebody should have smartened him up. Like, what are we doing? Do you need to honestly be smartened up to know that this shit isn't real? They can't just assault somebody and beat him up and punch him while he's lifeless on the ground? He's a kid. He's not a kid, bro. I'm tired of these grown-ass men being called kids. Fuck that shit. And Mark, oh, you can't fight. How do we know Syko Stu can fight or not? Because Syko Stu thought it was a work. So he got lifted up. And then he got violently slammed down while he trusted this guy with his butt. Now, I agree that shouldn't have been done. I agree that it was stupid to have somebody who was not a trained worker perform at all, trying to return a receipt or whatever the fuck they were trying to do. But he was working the match. They had agreed they're going to jump in and collect the receipt, so he allowed himself to get picked up, and then he got slammed down. That's what happened. All right? He got slammed on the mat. and he got knocked out with a slam down. And then Raja proceeds to unload like 20 unanswered punches on an unconscious man. And Mark Henry's bringing up, hey, you don't know how to fight. Mark, how would you like it if when you would trust Bill Goldberg with your body? You remember, or a Batista, when they would pick you up and slam you on the ground? How would you like it if they picked you up and didn't do a worker slam? They violently slammed you on your head and then proceeded to punch the shit out of you. I think you would wake up probably in a hospital bed and say that was cheap. That was a cheap shot. I trusted this guy with my body and he took advantage of the moment and slammed me down when I was knocked out. He proceeded to beat the shit out of me while I was unconscious. That's what you would say. And I would agree. But why are we even bringing that up? Why are we even going there? What is the point of any of that? You see, when Mark Henry's talking about this thing, he is in another stratosphere. Like, this guy has some pent up aggression over the way he was treated and things that he saw that he thought maybe were immature. They shouldn't work. Mark Henry wouldn't be the only one that felt that way about a lot of things going on backstage back then. But you could just tell that he just, not that he's condoning it, but he kind of is, but he understands it. I just think it's a horrible take by Mark Henry. It's my personal opinion. Here's the thing, guys, and I said some of it already. So there is no more vulnerable state that somebody could be in than when you put full trust, right, of your body on another person's hands, right? And that's basically what pro wrestling is. Pro wrestling is all about trust. Okay? You ever do that whole thing like with couples when, like, close your eyes and just fall back and pull full trust in the person behind you to catch you? It's like an exercise that they do, right? And you learn how to trust the person, and you have to have full trust in the person behind you to do something simple like just catch you so you don't fall to the ground, right? Your eyes are closed and you're going to let yourself go. You're completely vulnerable in that state. And in pro wrestling, they're constantly doing that throughout the course of an entire match while doing acrobatics and getting slammed, etc. This is not a case of Roger Jackson was getting worked and he got upset saying, hey, I'm not a fucking wrestler. What the fuck is this? And then pushed the guy, and then they got in a scuffle. Then Raja ended up beating him up in the process, right? No, that's not what happened here. And Mark Henry is talking about it as if that's how it happened, and that's not how it happened. What happened here is, he got the first part right. I do agree that they were being unprofessional. They thought it was a stupid work. Found out, hey, this guy's not a worker. He's not here to work. He refuses an apology, refuses a hand. Another wrestler comes up with the idea, hey, how about, you go in the ring tonight, make something out of it, you collect your receipt. And Raja Jackson agreed. They shook hands. And they agreed, hey, during my match, you're going to slide in the ring, pick me up, slam me, whatever, collect your receipt. Right? That's what happened. And the reality is, this pro wrestler gave his body to an individual that he agreed on. You're going to collect your receipt. That's what happened. This wasn't a fight. This was an individual agreeing to do something. Now, granted, yes, the wrestlers were out of their mind, because even if, like, if Roger Jackson wasn't intending to be violent, right? If he didn't let himself get egged on and cheered, like, and gassed up by people in his kick stream, like, if that's the case, right? Then the reality is, even if he just had it, I'm just gonna slam him. That's it. Yeah, like my dad used to do in Pride, and even if that's all he did, I mean, that was a violent slam, right? That alone could have caused a lot of damage. His head bounced on the canvas. Look, this wasn't it was not a really good, clean worker slam, right? He violently slammed him down to the ground after he gave his body to him so he could do it, right? There was no resistance because there was trust involved. That's why when the other wrestler went to restrain him, you kind of tell that Raja's more trained. He was kind of getting the better of the wrestler, but you see how there was resistance. It was enough to hold him for a couple of seconds for another wrestler to come in and it could completely hold him. You see, you could see the resistance when the other wrestler comes in, right? The reason there was no resistance is because he gave him his body. And what does he do? He does a cowardly thing. Like slam him down violently the way he did. Now we know he did it with malice. But even if like back to my point, even if there was no malice intended, right? Let's say another scenario. He just goes in, that's all he wants to do, make a slam. I see my dad do this, and that's how I was taught to slam in my college days or wrestling days, whatever, right? And you could still cause injury because you're not a worker, you know what you're doing. It. That's why the promotion and the wrestlers agreeing to do this was stupid. We had a scrawny ass rapper that didn't know how to work, like fuck up the orbital bone of Cody Rhodes. You know what I mean? I believe that was on a Raw or something. I forget when it was, or Elimination Chamber, whatever it was. And that wasn't with malice, you know. They just that stupid, I forget his name. The stupid rapper didn't know what the fuck he was doing. These guys are professionals. They know how to like work in the ring, right? Just watching on TV and it looks like they do it like this is not the way to do it, right? But with all that said, you could call out the wrestlers for being stupid for allowing it, and the promotional company for being stupid and allowing it. You could call all that out. All that is fair game. But what you cannot do is justify the assault. Because at that point, there's malice. We know there's malice just by looking at it. We also know there's malice because we know he was egged on. We know he acknowledged, yeah, I know wrestling is a strip, but watch, I'm really going to hit him. I'm really going to hit this dude. Right? We know there's malice, premeditated malice, because he's getting egged on, he's getting gassed up, and we got this culture now, this world star, culture, where people think stuff like this is cool, right? Like the knockout game. Remember that dumb game? We have a culture that's desensitized to watching people get like their face fractured and knocked, and people get concussed, and they think it's hilarious and funny, right? And I don't know how many of them were just fucking with them, how many of them were trying to egg them on, but nonetheless, it was premeditated, it was intended. He acknowledged, I know it's scripted, but I'm really gonna hurt him. So there's no, I didn't know it wasn't real. Like who the fuck believes that anyway? But either way, he acknowledges it. He acknowledges it with the notion that this guy's going to give you his body so you can collect the receipt. You violently slam him down. And you would have stopped there, you would have plausible deniability. Hey, they told me I could go in there, man. I slammed them. I didn't know there was a difference. Sorry, or whatever. You could have played stupid. I would have known. Like, I mean, it is what it is. But then you start raining down punches. And we got Mark Henrys of the world saying, oh, yeah, Putin can't fight. What the fuck are you talking about, Mark? There was never a gentleman's agreement to fight. I'm using the word gentleman. Like, it's not really gentleman-like to fight, but you know what I mean, right? Come from the boxing world. It is what it is. There was no, like, even if you're in a state, like there's some states, right, where there's laws that there's like, I forget the name of the law, but like there's just like, I think it's combat law, or I forget what the fuck it's called, right? Maybe somebody check to put it. Where two people could agree to fight, and if you both agree to fight, you agree to fight, right? But that's not what happened here. Mark, like, I don't know what the fuck Mark Henry's on about. Somebody mentioned RVD. I don't know what it. Mutual combat. Thank you. This was a mutual combat. This wasn't a case where like you shoved them. What the fuck, motherfucker? You want to fight? Yeah, let's go. Okay, that's one thing. I still don't think it justifies 20 unanswered punches, but that's another point, right? But it's not even that. This is another man giving you his body, and then you violently slam him down, and when he's knocked out, unconscious, you start to rain down punches on him. Well, yeah. If Brock Lesnar gives you his body and you slam him down that way, when he's trusting you with his body, and you knock out Brock Lesnar and you start raining down punches while he's unconscious, does that mean Brock Lesnar can't fight? Never mind, by the way, the fact that doesn't even matter. Okay? Never mind that. Okay? Never mind any of that. That doesn't matter anyway. I'm just going by like the logic of Mark Henry. It actually makes it more cowardly that you're a trained fighter and you have to resort to that to do that. That actually makes you more of a coward. Like there's no justification for he had to do it, or like you can't blame the guy. Like no, like I can't blame him. You're the trained fighter, bro. So you're gonna do that when you're being entrusted with a man's body? This was assault. And I don't know what the fuck they're investigating. I already broke it down for you. He said, I'm going to fuck him up. Oh, I know wrestling's scripted, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to hit him for real. Watch. I'm going to keep hitting them until they stop me. You could probably, like, if it was just a slam, you could probably get completely away with it if it stops right there, right? But then he starts to rain punches down on him, right? And by the way, that stupid ref, probably a dude working for $50 that night or whatever the fuck they're paying him, right? Because these wrestling refs in the Indies are not trained refs like in boxing or some shit like that, or MMA. Like these are just dudes, right? That's it. It's just a bunch of dudes, and they get paid $50. Whatever the fuck they get paid for that night. And some of them probably do it for free. It's for the fun of it. Front row seat. So for that ref and that wrestler to complete the count, they still did a 3 count, a pinfall. The fact that you're not rushing aid to another, he just got assaulted, bro. What the fuck? I don't like this. This is nuts, bro. If this doesn't shut down Rikishi's wrestling company, I don't know what the fuck would. Like, it should be shut down. They should make, like, I don't care if people say it's unfair. I don't give a fuck, bro. They need to be an example needs to be made. Shut it down. Whatever license, whatever Rikishi has, take it away from him. Sorry. Like, it is, they need to make an example out of it. And Roger Jackson should be in prison. Okay? That's where he should be. It was premeditated. He did what he did, right? These are all facts. This is true as well. I don't think this is black privilege at work. I don't know about any of that, but whatever. I'll just leave race out of it. I'm just sticking to the facts here. That's it. You know what I mean? The weight is most likely the city PTSD from OJ, the way everything ordered. Okay, gotcha. Could be. This is crazy. Mark Henry's take is crazy. Rob Van Dam, I don't know what the fuck Rob Van Dam's doing, bro. Like this could happen to you, Rob. How many times did Rob Van Dam allow somebody to pick him up and he trusted them to slam him on the mat? This is crazy. This is nuts. People acting like this was some mutual combat thing. Like, no, it wasn't, bro. Look, it would still be assault, but people are acting like he slid in the ring and then looked at him and said, no, we're going to fight for real, right? And then he started fighting him. That's not even going to happen, bro. It's the way people are acting. That would still be unacceptable and all that, but let's at least be accurate about the facts. When Mark Henry says, I don't know the whole story, well, maybe you should learn the whole story, Mark. Maybe that's what you should do. All right. Those are my thoughts, guys. He should 100% be behind bars. 100%. They need to make an example out of Roger Jackson. They need to make an example out of this promotional wrestling indie thing. They need to make an example out of it. I heard that WWE has some connection with it. They should completely cut ties. Completely cut ties. The wrestler that suggested that, oh, you could go in there and collect your receipt and came up with that idea. I mean, I don't think he should be hired by any promotional company either. I mean, it is what it is. There needs to be, and they did, that's great, but there needs to be some very severe consequences here. And as for Mark Henry, make up your mind, bro. You want it to be like the good old days. You want to go back to the days of Luthez and and Gagne and all these guys that could shoot, were NCAA like wrestlers, all Americans, and Olympic alternates and stuff like that. If you want to go back to those days or those are the credentials, you need it, right? Then you wouldn't have made it either, Mark. Like I don't know, like you know what I mean? Like if what the fuck is Mark Henry gonna do to fucking Luthez, bro? A big stiff like Mark Henry. What the fuck is he gonna do? You know what I mean? So let me tell you. But you think Vern Gagne is sweating a Mark Henry? Like if we want to go back to those days, I guess, right? Like what are we doing, right? It is what it is. All I want to tell you guys is this, man. Even when you take like, how long did it take like an MMA fighter to beat like somebody that isn't all that well trained? You know, like think about it. Like unless they knock him out with a clean punch or something, that's one thing, right? But usually when they take somebody down and they start like going for the submission or something, it's going to take long enough for somebody to jump in and stop it. And that's not what happened here, right? And you saw that when the other wrestler provided more resistance, right? He was then restrained. So let's just call a spade a spade. Let's call this for what it was. It was an assault. It was a break of trust. It became an assault. It was an over the top assault. I would say it was attempted murder, right? Like it's because he said, I'm not going to stop until they stop me. When you're punching someone who's defenseless on the ground over and over again, at that point, you can murder them. To me, that's attempted murder. So it is what it is. I'm out of here, guys. Peace.